So everybody should have just gotten a notification that there was a recording in progress. Did people hear that?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, we are recording. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Audrey. This is Lenny Manaa-Hoppenworth. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the new alderwoman of the 48th Ward. The 48th Ward includes Edgewater, parts of Uptown, and Andersonville. And I'm very excited to welcome you to our very first virtual ward night. And today's topic is Meet the Team. I'm very excited that you're here. Please continue to share the Zoom link to friends who aren't here yet. And right now we have about a couple dozen people, 27 people, 28 people, more people keep joining. And we hope to keep building this community moving forward as we have these regularly. I wanted to just remind you that we're here on Bryn Mawr. Our office is here for you by email, in person, and by phone. And I'm just excited to continue to build this community. I moved here with my husband after we graduated from UIC in physical therapy almost 25 years ago, and we raised our kids here. They went to public school. I opened up a small business, and we just love it. We have worked with the chambers of commerce. We've worked with many of the block club leaders, especially over the course of the last couple months. This administration was sworn in May, and we opened our office in June. We've had a lot that has happened in the ward since then, including the conversion of the Broadway Armory into a temporary shelter to help with the humanitarian crisis that we're experiencing right now across the city and in our nation, because we are a welcoming city, a welcoming state, and a welcoming ward. It is it's October 1st, but I can't believe how warm it is today. There are a lot of block clubs still happening, and I'm grateful that I'm able to meet with you there. But I see this as another way for us to connect virtually, and then also continue the conversations moving forward. Please continue to engage with the chat and also with our office, and we hope to talk to you more soon in person. Thanks, everyone. I'll pass it to Nicole.
All right. Hi, everybody. All right, I guess I'm up first, and I've got 3 minutes, right, Audrey, to say hi? All right, sounds good. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight at our first ward night. I'm going to just take a few minutes to introduce myself and what I do here in the office. My name is Nicole Granicki, and my title is Chief of Staff. A bit about me personally. I'm born and raised in Chicago, in the 44th and 47th wards, just next door. I currently live in the 48th ward, where I'm raising my family. I am a CPS alum and dedicated to our public school system here in Chicago. My daughter is actually the 4th generation in our family to attend Chicago public schools. And that passion and dedication to our public school system got me to run for parent representative on my local school council here in the neighborhood and in the ward. So I'm currently elected parent representative on the local school council at one of our wonderful neighborhood schools here in the ward. Being from Chicago, my first taste of very uber local Chicago politics was when I was maybe 3 years old. I have a picture of myself in the 80s with a No Lights in Wrigley Field t-shirt. My family was involved in the No Lights in Wrigley Field campaign because we lived pretty near the ballpark. And have been kind of involved in local politics and national politics ever since. I spent a number of years as a community organizer working for Greenpeace in both Chicago and DC. And one of the campaigns that I'm most proud of and humbled to have been a small part of was shutting down the Fisk and Crawford coal plants in Pilsen and Little Village. Most recently, before joining the ward office, I worked in international education, where I was able to travel the world for work and advocate for first generation college students to go on study abroad programming. In my role as chief of staff, over the last few months, I've been responsible for recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and managing the rest of our team that you'll meet here shortly. I've also been responsible for setting up our new office. Many of you have already visited our temporary office space on Bryn Mawr at 1129. And you may know this, but we are working on building out a permanent office space also on Bryn Mawr, just a few doors down, next to Ben's Noodles and the barbershop on Bryn Mawr. So we'll still be in the same area, but we are working on getting a more permanent space and some walls, because our office right now is just fully open. I've been working on also getting to know all of our city departments, setting up meetings between our office and all of the various agencies and individuals that we now work with on a daily basis. I've been working on getting our systems in place. We've got a constituent services database to best serve the neighborhood. We are working on setting up and bringing participatory budgeting to the ward for the first time. Lots of exciting stuff going on. And I'm also spearheading the new arrival work from our office. I've been holding weekly meetings with our welcome committee, which is working to collaborate with all of our community-based organizations, mutual aid groups, and nonprofits who are supporting the new arrivals staying at the Armory and also at our police stations. In addition to the ward office work, I feel like my role is kind of living in two worlds between the ward and city council. And on the city council side, and as chief of staff in general, my role is really kind of just do whatever needs to get done. So just jumping in wherever I need to lend a hand. So that is me. I'll pass it on to the next person. Angel.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm very honored to be working with Nicole. I think she is an accomplished professional and just an incredible person too. So thank you, Nicole, for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Angel Rubin Navarijo. I am your Director of Neighborhood Services. Let's see, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I was born in Guatemala. I was raised in Chicago. I moved to Chicago when I was 6 years old. I'm a proud CPS alum. I grew up in Albany Park, so the 33rd Ward. I went to Bateman Elementary School for elementary school, and then for high school, I went to Rickover Naval Academy. I was the last class before Rickover Naval Academy got their own building in Portage Park. I went to school. I got my associate's degree in social and behavioral sciences at Rupe College, and then later on my bachelor's in political science and global studies at Loyola University Chicago. So I spent a lot of time, basically, my entire academic and professional career too, in Edgewater, Andersonville, Uptown, and just the general North Side region. I've worked in 7 different elected officials' offices. I've worked for every single level of government, including county and federal and state. Most recently, I was working for Alderman Andre Vasquez as his constituent services coordinator for the 40th Ward. And then I saw that Lenny was hiring. I thought she was extremely awesome, and I wanted to come and work for her. So I applied to be her Director of Neighborhood Services. My primary role is to oversee 2 neighborhood service coordinators who you'll meet today, Rowan and Connor. You probably even spoke to them on the phone already. We cover anything and everything city related, including connecting you to resources that don't include city services and related, related topics or policies that you may have questions about. We help constituents navigate bureaucracy, and then we also help connect neighbors and different organizations in our ward to resources that might be available to them. So really our job is to make sure that everything in the ward is running smoothly, that you have the answers to your questions. And also I report to Nicole and our alderwoman to report to them about what's going on in the ward, as well as advise them on policies based upon what I'm hearing from you all. So your calls, your notes, your emails, any problems that I can consult anybody else in the team for. I make sure that they know about it because we are the front-facing team of the office. And we're really here to just help answer you guys' questions, make sure that, you know, everything is being ran right, and then connecting you to the correct resources to ensure you're getting accurate information so you can be the best served constituents here in the city of Chicago. I think we have one of the best wards in the city, and I'm very proud to be working here. A little bit of what I do here, just a myriad of things: public safety, social services, and then anything needing to do with the public way. So the sidewalks, our roads, our lights, our trees, your sewer, your garbage, your rats, your business complaints, anything that the city might have purview over. But I'm really excited to get to know more neighbors. I love talking to you all when you guys come into the office. So please visit us, 1129 West Bryn Mawr. Again, thank you so much all for being here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. And I'll pass it on to the next person.
Hello, I'm Connor Hart. I now live in the ward, the 48th ward. I've lived in the city for about a decade now in different neighborhoods, and the 48th ward has become my home. Before this, I got involved in the office by volunteering at first, and then applying to just be part of the office because I liked the neighborhood so much. I liked seeing where the neighborhood can go. I have 3 brothers, 2 parents who live in the suburbs, 2 nephews, and what I do in the office is answer any requests or calls that you might have, and there to solve any issues or help out with what's needed in the neighborhood. Thank you. I think Rowan is next.
Hey everyone, my name's Rowan Vargas. I'm a neighborhood services aide for the office. I guess before I get into what I specifically do, I guess personal background. I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I was raised in the 40th ward, so close neighbor, and around the Woodlawn Woods, Peterson Park, Legion Park area. And I went to Atlantic Tech High School and graduated. Then I'm currently a senior at Loyola University Chicago, and I'm set to graduate this December. And I'm majoring in political science. And I guess what I do for the office is, as I said before, I'm a neighborhood services aide. So I work next to Connor, actually. I sit next to him at the front desk. So if you walk in and you want to talk to someone in the office, we're the first faces you'll see likely. And I'm managed by Angel. And I guess I'm an aide because I work at a part-time basis. So you might not see me as much as some of the others, but I do very similar things. I answer phones, questions. If any questions are asked by a constituent, I'm likely to answer them or at least do the research into it and create case files, requests, staffing the alderwoman at events and things like that. And I have to say it's been a pleasure working in the office, and I'm happy to be here. I'll pass it along to Jorge.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rowan. I think, quite honestly, the neighborhood service team tends to undersell their value and also what they do and just the amount of impact that they have for the office. You know, they're really, really incredible people. You know, as constituents, they will be the first people that you will usually talk to if you don't already talk to Lenny personally. But yeah, no, it's a great, great team. I'm really happy that you all as constituents are able to put a face to the people that you speak over the phone or through email. But with that, my name is Jorge Van Soto. I'm the Director of Development and Engagement here at the 48th Ward. I use he, they pronouns, but feel free to, just use whatever pronouns y'all see fit within those 2 realms. So yeah, a little bit about me. So I am admittedly a small rural kid from the state of Iowa. You know, I'd like to say that, you know, our 2 biggest attractions are our steel mill and our meatpacking plant. You know, so suffice to say that, like, you know, working class issues and policies are, you know, very near and dear to me. I do hold a master's degree in public policy from the University of Chicago. But before that, I really started my trajectory in higher education. I went to kind of like Angel, I went through a military academy for my first 2 years. I really thought that I needed that extra level of discipline, that extra level of respect, and just that extra perspective. I quickly went through and got my bachelor's in political science from Mizzou. I came here in about 2018, and I haven't looked back since. As a director of development, I'm in charge of setting up our processes for zoning, and anything that really comes with that. So aldermanic requests such as variances, adjustments, zoning changes, what have you. I'm also in charge of setting up our zoning advisory council. If you haven't heard already, we're very excited to be able to introduce that to our ward and have a more democratic and a little bit more input from our constituents as to what they want to see in the ward. What kind of development do we want? And having these conversations are making our ward more affordable and making sure that our corridors, are alive and thriving. I'm talking about Argyle, I'm talking about Devon, and everywhere in between. I'm also in charge of managing infrastructure requests and setting up a participatory budgeting process that Nicole has mentioned. We want to be able to get direct input from our neighbors about the needs of the ward in terms of infrastructure, beautification, arts, sustainability, environmentalism, culture, and pedestrian safety. I'm also in charge of economic development, which means that I work with the BACP team and our 3 wonderful chambers of commerce, Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, Edgewater Chamber of Commerce, and the Uptown United and the Uptown Chambers of Commerce. And I'm really here to advocate on behalf of small business owners in areas of equitable access, such as resources, grants, and connecting our neighbors to our booming commercial and business corridors. Within all of these systems, I want to make sure that we're inputting, like I said, a more democratic way of having and making these decisions within our office. Though I do advise Lenny and we get this feedback, it is critically important that we're engaging our community and we're making sure that we're being as transparent and representative as possible. Before joining the office, I was a strategic consultant for a lot of nonprofit organizations, but I've also worked with the likes of the AARP of Illinois, with Will County government, the NRDC and the NRDC here in Chicago. In my free time, I really like to go biking. I am a newfound cyclist. Thank you, Nicole, for that. I really enjoy our grid, but I do understand that we can always make it better and knowing how we can integrate just better avenues for safety for both our drivers, our pedestrians, our cyclists, and anywhere in between. I'm very, very excited to meet everybody. I'm very excited to just give a short introduction of who I am, of my life. And I'm very, very excited to be working with a lot of you here in the incoming future. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next person that I believe is Audrey.
Who should have gone first?
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Champelli. I'm the communications coordinator for the 48th Ward, and I use she, her pronouns. Background, I am from Louisville, Kentucky, and then I came to Chicago for college about 4 years ago. So I actually just graduated in June, same as Angel. And I got my degree in journalism. Back in Louisville, I worked as a communications coordinator for a city councilwoman there. And so it's been really special and interesting bringing my experience from that job, my journalism education, and putting that toward this job, which is, it's just like, it's a bigger city. It's a really, really cool, fun neighborhood. And so that's been very fun and exciting. And I'm really, really happy to be here. In terms of my work, I put out the newsletter. I manage social media, the public calendar. If you've seen that, I add things to the public calendar. So, if you are someone who is looking to have your information disseminated through those channels, I'm the person to talk to. And I'm sure many of you already have. And then, I also work with Angel and Jorge to make sure that I am putting out the information that they are working on, the initiatives that they're working on, and getting that information to all of you. So I do some design work as well. And I think that what I like about this kind of a job is that, I studied journalism for 4 years and then decided that I really appreciate communications work where I get to work with people more face-to-face and one-on-one. And I'm really interested in looking at ways that we can use communication, to build positive emotions and feelings of community and bring people together. And I feel like I've had a lot of opportunities to do that in this job, and I'm looking for more opportunities to do that in this job. And so, send me an email. I'm always happy to talk with you. Yeah, I think that's, I'll also say that though I do not live in the 48th ward, sadly, I do live in the 47th ward. I lived in the 48th ward for 3 years, so almost the entire time that I was in school. And I think that moving to the 48th ward was one of the best decisions I ever made. I love the neighborhood so very much. And I feel like, it was such a pivotal point in my life when I lived in the 48th ward, and I really have a vested interest in seeing it grow and thrive. And I'm just so excited about the work we're doing. And so I will pass it on to Kelly.
Thanks, Audrey. I'm Kelly B. I use she, her pronouns. I have lived in 6 different states, so I won't list them all, but I've been in Chicago since 2017. My background is that I'm a longtime technical writer and editor, a graphic designer, and an information architect. I have worked with Lenny for many years in the activist space, and actually anyone who knew Lenny on the campaign trail, you might have seen me alongside her because I provided technical assistance and branding for her campaign, as well as anything else. If you know anything about a campaign, whatever needs to get done, someone's got to do it. And there I was. My role in the 48th ward office, I worked on Lenny's transition team. So really setting up a lot of the infrastructure and the systems, and really to welcome all of this incredible staff to Lenny's office and really get the office set up for success. And I am now working on the 48th ward website with the intent of making a robust tool for all of the neighbors in the 48th ward to find any information that you need about the ward, about the city. Just if you have a question, hopefully our intention is that the 48th ward website will be able to answer your questions and what you're looking for. In my free time, I am a book reader, I am a maker, and I foster puppies to be future assistance dogs. So on that note, I will hand the mic back to Audrey. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say web developer as a title does not quite cut it, but that was the best we could come up with. All right, Lenny, did you want to go over the Q&A, get us started?
I first wanted to thank my entire team. If this is the first time you're meeting us together, I am so happy that you're here, because it truly is going to take a group effort to make sure that everyone is getting what they need. And we're here for you. And I'm very grateful for this time together. So I don't want to mumble on, but I do want to make sure that you know that we're going to use the Zoom's raise your hand feature. So if you have questions, please raise your hand at this time, and we'll call on people in order. Try to limit your question, be mindful that other people might be in line too. So ask one question and let others have some space as well. Remember to lower your hand and mute your microphone after your question has been answered, and we'll answer as many questions as time allows. And I am going to leave it to Audrey to call out folks if there are any questions at this time.
So I'm not seeing any hands raised just now. And so, I do see one. But could somebody, before we actually start the questions, could someone who's not sharing screen point out, just because my screen is, wonky right now, point out where the raise hand feature is, just for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, the raise hand feature should be on the bottom. If your dashboard is on the bottom, it should be next to apps. It should be on the bottom right. If your dashboard is on the top or on the right, it might change a little bit. But in the meantime, Audrey, I do see that Tom's hand was first and then Ari. So Tom, I'm going to unmute you here real quick. All right.
Hello. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Thank you very much. And Lenny, it is such an esteemed pleasure. Quick question. Do you guys know what's going to go on with the Broadway Plaza construction? Do you have an update on that? That's at Berwyn and Broadway.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do believe that these updates are pending. Given that these plaza constructions do require just a lot of coordination from different city departments, I will go ahead and write this question down. And Tom, I'm going to leave my email as well, so you can email me this question so I can get back to you here this week. But yeah, we will get it to the right channels and see if we can get an update for y'all here soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Ori, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have two concerns, and they kind of sadly met together. One was public safety, community safety, and the other was affordable housing. The three deaths that occurred in the CHA building at 5800 North Broadway. What's the I don't know how to put it. What kind of community engagement or community response should there be for those kinds of deaths inside a building that is run by the city, basically Chicago Housing Authority? That, to me, as much as the violence on the streets is, a real concern inside a building that's run by the city. I'm just concerned as to how those kinds of things can happen without, an outcry of, what's going on, Marvin Gaye. I mean, what's going on that these kinds of things can happen?
Yeah, first, I'm gonna have Angel speak on this, but yes, we're very concerned about the deaths. And more official reports are coming out soon. Absolutely, Ari, I am with you in wanting to know how we can help heal the community, because that's a big blow to so many folks. But go ahead, Angel, to share any updates that you have at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Ari, for that question, and thank you, Alderwoman, for addressing that. Yeah, I mean, we're just as concerned as you, Ari. These are isolated incidents. This doesn't happen often, so I'm glad it doesn't happen often, as a matter of fact, but it shouldn't happen at all.
Yes.
So we are definitely going to be following up with the Hispanic housing management company that is running that building. Yes, it is owned and identified as a CHA building, but it's managed under a different company. So we're going to make sure that we hold, if and when the investigation comes out and the results come out that maybe it was due to negligence, we will. But we don't know whether or not these people, we don't know the cause of death yet. And I don't even know if we will get shared that information, because that's personal information that can't be shared with us due to HIPAA laws. So what we do know is that there was no leak of any sort of chemical substance that will do great bodily harm to a large number of people. And again, the original call came in as a biohazard incident. So again, the investigation is still ongoing. The cause of death is unknown, but from what we know, it had nothing to do with the physical components of the building. But we will always hold any building management company accountable, whether that's a CHA building or not. We always demand answers from management companies who are supposed to keep the residents safe. So I don't have many answers for you, but if something is relevant and I'm able to share those information with you that doesn't fall under HIPAA, we will definitely do so on our newsletter.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, Ari, I'm gonna go ahead and lower your hand. All right, anybody else? Does anybody else have a question?
Maybe I can. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Tom, I will unmute you.
Sorry, I have just one more question, if you don't mind. So where we live on Foster and Broadway, it's right next to the PetSmart and Chipotle, and there's a huge rat problem right there. Every night I walk my dog down that sidewalk, and just this morning I found a large dead rat on the sidewalk, and then there was a rat in the bushes. But you also every night see these rats just roam freely on the the parking lot going towards that big garbage can, and then they also, roam in these bushes. What can be done about that? Because those rats are now coming into the alley right behind our condo, and and it's a big problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Angel speak on that, but I hear you, Tom. We went to visit Gowdy, which is right there on Foster, and the principal wants to have a community garden, and the plot happens to be right next to the L. And what happened was they planted the garden and brought the kids out there, and rats started popping up through the dirt. And it's because there's so much construction there with the red line that it's getting all of them out. But it's not just around the L tracks, it's all over Edgewater. So I'm also going to pass it to Angel at this time to speak on how we can talk about rat abatement.
Thank you. Oh man, if there's anybody that hates rats more than anyone, it's me. They cause $2 billion in city damage just in general across the city. $2 billion. That's $2 billion, people. That's a lot of money. So at the citywide level, I do know that there is a strong support for a strong rodent abatement team, which I actually have to thank the city for. They respond within the same week. They'll do investigations on your home. They'll also find out where the source of that rodent problem is coming from. So it is a well-funded team that we need to use to our advantage. In terms of that specific location, another thing that I want to mention about rodents is that you have the ability to report it via either the 311 app or 311 or calling our office. But if you believe it is a larger problem, Connor and I can sit down. And if you want to send us some details, Connor, if you can please put your email, my email in the chat below, we'll be more than happy to follow up with you to see if maybe it's coming from a business. As you know, we also have a very strong business corridor, and sometimes the cost of doing business comes with waste, and sometimes businesses intend to try to dispose of waste properly. Sometimes they don't. So we want to figure that out. So if you ever see a business or an individual not disposing of trash correctly, that also is going to attract many rodents. And yes, the Alderwoman is right. Construction usually pushes over the rodents, and then they find food, and once they find food, they're not going anywhere. So yeah, if this is a larger problem, we can definitely have a larger discussion about that, because if this is coming from a particular source, then we're going to have to narrow this down to a specific location or person on who's doing this, so we can take the proper course of action. But just know that the rodent abatement team is well funded. And so if you have any questions on how to file a 311, what the 311 will do, or anything else of that matter, feel free to call our office. All of the information is in the chat, and then we can discuss it further.
Yeah, and I think there are also conversations when Angel talks about the source, there's a lot of visible sources, but also I think this is also a conversation about, just reinforcing the health of our buildings. Our buildings, when we have a lot of deteriorating infrastructure, we can start seeing a lot of cracks in the walls. Unfortunately, that was something that was very permanent in my building. And luckily enough, we were able to get some sort of tenants association to kind of really identify these needs. But, it really goes also into just making sure that, if you see something in your building, that you're reporting it. We are getting into the winter times, so a lot of rodents might not be as visible outside, but that just means that they're creeping into infrastructures and buildings that are deteriorating. So, I would suggest looking over like the Healthy Homes proposed ordinance, just reinforcing our building and making sure that we're properly funding the Department of Building, so we can make sure that we have adequate inspection periods. So making sure that we're identifying these cracks, and we're making sure that we're just looking holistically at this rat problem, which, Tom, unfortunately, you're right. It is just a consistent problem here in the city.
Yeah, and really quick, just to add on before we move on to the next question, Jorge's definitely right. It's also got to do with building health. Whenever there's a building who's not up to code, that breeds so many problems, especially in the winter when rats need a place to stay warm. They're going to head inside near the pipes. They're going to head where there is the most heat. So I think Jorge is definitely right. Another tool that we have at our disposal, I mean, all the tools at our disposal, is we have ticketing power. So I don't know if you've heard of this, Tom, but there's something called a sanitation code violation, which you can put on basically anything or anyone with proper evidence. And if they're causing unsanitary conditions, the city is able to ticket them. That'll prompt an investigation as well. So if you want to talk more about it, we can talk about it offline, but I hope we answered your questions.
You did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, with that, I do see Chick Hoffman had their hand raised.
Yeah, first of all, it's very nice to meet all of you. I do want to correct something Angel said. I don't know Angel, but I'm sure that my wife fears rats a lot more than he does. Maybe after I get to know Angel better, I'll change my vote.
Chick, let's talk, because I can talk to you all day about why I hate rats.
Okay. But my real question is, does your office have direct communications with the police district councils in 48?
Absolutely. Public safety has to be a collaborative effort with all of the public safety team, CAPS, our new commander, and I'm going to have Angel speak on this because he's our public safety liaison. But not only that, our chambers of commerce, as Jorge mentioned before, but teachers and block club presidents as well have a part to play. We just had a public safety meeting the other day at the North Shore Baptist Church, and I'll hand it to Angel to give an update on that.
Thank you for that question. Absolutely. Honestly, a challenge, Chick, is public safety is so many layers. From the bottom up, when you think about public safety, it's you call 911. That doesn't go to CPD. That goes to a department called OEMC, right? And then from OEMC, it gets dispatched to so many different places. Imagine all of that, all of those layers. Then after an incident happens, because the priority is to answer to the incident, right? So once you answer to the incident, then you're able to disseminate that information down to the district levels, down to the ward levels, down to the block club levels. So we do communicate constantly with district councils. I know that we have been working to improve our methods of communication. I know there's a lot of constituents who've called our office and said, I emailed my district counselor, I don't know how to get updates from them. And, that's truly a challenge. And I think this is also a good time to educate our constituents about when we notify people of major incidents. For example, what happened in the building, we put that out in our newsletter because it actually happened to be the same day that our newsletter gets put out. But whenever we have an incident that has caused great bodily harm to multiple people, or if there was threats to life at a mass scale, or if there was major damage to infrastructure, or there was unusual events like this past unfortunate weekend where the 3 seniors were found in their apartment, we want to inform people as quickly as possible, but it's so important to teach constituents that there's going to be so many people saying different things, and it's important that we understand where our communication streams are going. But yes, we communicate almost weekly. We put their notices on our newsletter. We put their events on our public calendar, all which is linked in the chat. And then whenever you call our office, I mean, you could just call us up and see what's going on with them. And we work I would say I work almost daily with our Chicago Police Department, from things spanning to violent crimes to just everyday things. Somebody's parking at my disabled parking spot. So public safety is very complicated, but I feel like our office is doing a better job with our constituents, really, because all of this work has been done in conjunction with you all to improve that communication. So we do. I'm sorry if that was a long-winded answer, but it's a very complicated answer depending on what circumstance we're speaking about.
Really quickly, if I may, just something to add to that is that we do have a standard for when we send out a special notice about a public safety incident. And so we send those out for things that are of, really significant public concern that we have verified or actionable information on. And so I know that I do sometimes get emails asking like, okay, so you put out an email about this, but not about this. Why is that? If you ever have those kinds of questions, please do reach out to me and or Angel, because we are really thinking about those choices, and we would love to be able to talk with you about why we send the things we do and why we don't send the things we don't. But in terms of verifying information, we do talk with commanders. And so we are in contact with those offices.
Yeah, and it's important to note, thank you, Audrey, so much. Audrey and I work together almost daily as well. to make sure that we're communicating things that make sense, because there's useful information and then there's just information. And it also, the news reports on what they find out first. We report on what we know for a fact to be solidified information, so we can ensure that we're giving you accurate information. News reports change all the time. So maybe what you saw broadcast at 10 p.m. is going to be different at what I don't know what time the news goes on. I read political in the mornings, but if they go out at 8 a.m., it might be a different broadcast. So information is constantly changing, which is why we always strive to make sure that we're getting you accurate information and not just the information that is rapidly available at the present time. We want to make sure that we tried our best to close a chapter of an incident. And plus, incidents happen all the time across the ward, across the city. So it's also sometimes almost difficult to make sure that we're putting everything and anything out there. So that's why we're very selective on what we put out there, and we have parameters for that. And with that, I see if nobody else has a comment, Ronald has his hand raised.
I'll comment one more thing. Thank you, Chick, for that question. The question was about the district counselors. So if you're not, if you don't remember, at the last election, you voted on 3 district counselors for each of your districts. And in the 48th ward, we're represented by the 20th district and the 24th police districts. And these 3 counselors work under the Commission for Public Safety. And it is the first time in our history that a Commission for Public Safety had a hand in selecting our new superintendent, who we appointed and swore in last week. So we're looking forward to working with our new superintendent, Larry Snelling, and really public safety and his vision on how we are all going to work together towards a better, safer, stronger Chicago for everyone. Thanks, Audrey.
Thanks, Alderwoman. Ronald.
Thank you, Lenny and team. Thank you so much for hosting this meeting, especially on a Sunday afternoon. And thank you so much for everything you guys have done, and thank you for everything you will be doing for the ward. My question is about, I read a report back in June, I want to say, from CBS News, that there have been some tentative talks about a program to test the viability of having city crews clear sidewalks and snow during winter. So I wasn't sure, is that pilot program happening and where that's going to be? Because I know, like in Edgewater in our neighborhood, a lot of time there are a lot of elderly folks or seniors who cannot do that themselves, so they may have to individually call 311 to have that taken care of. So I wasn't sure, like, if there's more development in this pilot program. Thanks.
Thank you, Ronald, for that question. So the idea around that was introduced by Alderman Gil Villegas, who had complaints, too many complaints from people in his ward, exactly what you're saying, older adults or those with disabilities who were trying to even catch a bus, but they couldn't catch the bus because not only was the sidewalk not cleared, but all of the snow that was cleared from the street created a mound where there's supposed to be a bus stop, and they couldn't access public transit to get to their doctor's appointments. And even me, in the last couple of years, I've had 2 hip replacement surgeries. So I had to use a walker outside in the sidewalk in the wintertime. And it was, when I got to a section of the sidewalk, even in Andersonville, where everybody is really very mindful about the sidewalks, it's not continuous. We have very long blocks, and there were times that it was really hard to manage. So we are expected as small business owners to clear our own sidewalks too. But in the neighborhoods, neighbors are not. And so that's the reason why, in fact, we are going to be asking volunteers if they want to join us to help clear the sidewalks this winter, because this is something that the responsibility belongs to all of us. But the idea behind the Plow the Sidewalks campaign, which was brought up and supported by organizations such as Access Living and Better Streets Chicago is that we clear the streets, but we should also not only prioritize moving people around through cars, but just walkways and pedestrian ways, because if we want to use public transit, we should be able to get there too. And so clearing the sidewalks is one way to do it. It's inclusive, it's accessible. We're, pointing to accessibility, and we need it. So right now where it is that we want to have a working group created alongside of the advocates and individuals and the mayor's office and departments, including OEMC and Streets and Sand, to make sure that everybody is, and others, to make sure that everybody is on the same page about what we are talking about, because it's not enough to pass a great bill that addresses an idea that will help with our quality of life, but it's in how we implement it. So we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with that. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Alderwoman. I want to add on to what the Alderwoman was saying. Come closer. Well, now it's fall, right? So again, stay in touch with us via our newsletter, because we're also going to give instructions and details on what fall operations look like for the city, right? I know people like to bag their leaves. Or what is your responsibility as a homeowner, business owner, building owner, whatever it may be in the wintertime. So we'll update you where that is as well via our newsletter. But I think I'm going to shake the bush with this one. But think about our tree trimming system that we have right now. We want to make sure that we know all the information and details before we do such a massive program like clearing the sidewalks all across the city. So I think the Alderwoman is right. We need a working group to ensure that we're keeping everybody's interest in mind, but also making sure that we are advocating for the right capacity for these departments to be able to do something about this issue. Because one thing is starting a pilot program, but another thing is servicing the entire city in an equitable and efficient way. And so that's going to take some time to figure out. But in the meantime, keep in touch with us in our newsletter as we help advise neighbors through the fall and winter operations and what the city can and cannot do, what we can do together. And I also am very excited actually to get some volunteers and help some needy neighbors who might need their sidewalks cleared this winter. So I look forward to doing that as well with neighbors.
All right, any other questions? If you're having trouble with the raise hand feature, just because I want to be, cognizant of that, feel free to throw a question or two in the chat, just in case that's anybody's situation.
I have a question. It's been a beautiful weekend this week. I'm wondering if anybody got a chance to either, cycle on the lake, if there's a restaurant in the ward that you want to shout out. I don't know, just today, just going out for my morning walk, like the ward really revitalized me today. There were a lot of people, and going to Argyle for lunch, there were just so many beautiful people on the street. So I'm wondering if anybody got a chance to go out and just take advantage of her beautiful ward.
I gotta say, when I don't know when that meeting was, Alderwoman. I'm gonna let this constituent who just raised their hand say what they need to say actually.
Hi, my name is Manaa-Hoppenworth, and I actually live on the lake at Ardmore and Sheridan, and it is indeed a very, very beautiful day. And I'm sitting right in my balcony and watching all the people just enjoying themselves. So it's a wonderful sight. And thank you all very much, for doing such a hard work and introducing and, having the Zoom meeting so we know who you are and, who to reach out to when needed. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you. And Ori has something to say in the chat too.
Oh, yes. Ari says, I just came back from Foster Beach. Oh, that's lovely. I would love to make it down to Foster Beach soon too.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. Sometimes even the Saddle and Cycle Club during the summer I just went out. I just went out to Foster Beach during the night, and next thing you know, you just hear a whole bunch of celebration or fireworks going on. And I got to tell my partners like, "Hey, surprise! I got you some fireworks too for this little nighttime date." So the ward even works wonders even in that part for me. So gotta give it up to them.
I don't know if anybody was around yesterday, but on Argyle, there was the Mid-Autumn Festival, and it was really wonderful to see so many organizations out there, including Chinese Mutual Aid Association and Vietnam Association of Illinois, with businesses like First Sip. There was a DJ, there was a dragon dance. I was there with Representative Han Win. We have a fabulous area that we live in, and we're surrounded by many representatives who share our values. So I was very grateful to be able to spend the day yesterday on Argyle Street and then come to Andersonville for Arts Weekend, which is another fabulous thing that we do every year. And small businesses open their doors to host artists. For instance, my own shop, Chicago Dance Supply, hosted Stained Glass Artists, and it's gorgeous to see that work when you're shopping. We're really blessed to have 3 very active chambers of commerce: Andersonville, Edgewater, and Uptown. So if you've not checked out their websites, please do. We want our small businesses to come from our community, and we want our community to love our small businesses. And Geraldine has their hand up.
Go ahead, Geraldine.
All right. I make a plea that there's some way to reach the souls of dog owners who think they own every park. They unleash their dogs everywhere. Just that little park over by the pink building, right west of the drive. I passed 3 big dogs unleashed this afternoon. And people just, I'm never rude. I just say it's against the ordinance. You have to leash your dogs. And they just unload all kinds of comments on me and call me names. And I just find them extremely rude. And I see huge piles of feces on the sidewalks. I live on Kenmore. You walk up and down Kenmore. Oh my God. I don't know if there's a solution, because dog owners run the world just like car owners run the world, But anyway, that's one of my comments.
Well, thanks for that comment, Geraldine. It is true that feces also attracts rats. So we do want the dog owners to pick up after their pets for sure. And your comment about dogs being off their leash, especially around the lakefront and even in the neighborhoods, is concerning to me, because like you said, our streets are really made for cars. They should be made more for pedestrians, but they're really made for cars. And so we're concerned about the safety of the pets too. We're going to talk about ways that we can hold dog owners accountable. We have a lot of dog owners in this ward, especially because we're a very condensed ward. We're one of the smallest footprints, and our constituents love dogs. So thank you for bringing up that problem.
It's
Thanks, Alderwoman.
citywide. It's not just our ward. I was at the Nettlehurst Farmers Market again on Saturday, and I actually called Nettlehurst School because lately these big dogs are in that confined tiny farmers market, and the woman at Nettlehurst had a fit. She said no dog is allowed on that property at any time. And I pointed that out very nicely on Saturday, and this woman just insulted me for 5 minutes. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. That's not right.
Yeah, I can definitely absolutely understand frustration with dog owners not leashing their dogs, especially just for considering safety of not only a dog but also just people nearby. I love running in the mornings,
And I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few times where I'm being chased by a dog that's been unleashed. So I absolutely understand it, not even just safety about the dogs, safety of just people in general. And even then, for safety of the dog, I've seen a dog go unleashed running into the middle of the street while there's cars going by. So we definitely understand that. We understand how important and how scary that can be when it happens.
We had planned to end this call at 6 o'clock. And so I wanted to start winding down and to make sure that we got all the information out that we needed to share. So I want to pass it to Audrey to see if we could start wrapping it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for your questions and comments. And if you didn't get a chance to look at the chat, people were putting a lot of fun stuff in there about what they were doing this weekend. And thank you very much, Ronald, for sharing this information about 211. Definitely, that's good information to know. Actually, I think Streetwise actually just did a feature about that as well that I'm looking forward to reading. But yeah, so we have the Q&A feature where you can type out a question, and that should be open. So if there was a question you had that wasn't answered in this meeting, feel free to type it in there, and then we can save the record of that Q&A so that we know what you guys are thinking about and what you want to hear more about. And we can keep that in mind going forward. So feel free to do that now. We'll leave the meeting open for a couple minutes to give everybody time to do that if you'd like. And then next ward night is on the 15th, which is another Sunday. We wanted to make it on a consistent date rather than a consistent day of the week, so that people who can't do weekdays could do Sundays. People who can't do weekends, it'll be on weekdays in the future. So yeah, it's Sunday the 15th is the next one. Stay tuned in with our newsletter to hear more about that. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Feel free to head out or stay to type in your questions.
And I wanted to say thank you to the team. Every single one of you is contributing to make this ward better, safer, stronger, healthier for everyone. And thank you to everybody who jumped on. We have a lot of challenges ahead, but we know that we are going to be able to do so much more if we work together. So I appreciate you very much. And with that, I also just want to remind you that not only are we going to build community here virtually on Zoom, but we welcome any opportunity to meet with you in person. Because after COVID, I don't know about you, I really enjoy a face-to-face experience or a small group experience or even a forum. And please sign up to our newsletter to keep abreast about the community events that we're going to host. So thanks again, everybody, and have a fantastic night. Thank you, team.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need to get outro music.
Were you guys able to hear my last part? My AirPods died in the middle of me speaking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm
right,
just hearing you getting chased by a little chihuahua, Rowan.
Yeah.
All right, I'm saving the chat just to make, I think it saves automatically, but just in case it doesn't.
I see a couple more people in the Zoom room, so I don't know if they have any questions.
Yeah, if you have any questions, just go ahead and throw them in the Q&A. We'll make sure to save that. Otherwise, we hope to see you on the 15th. All right. Okay, I've saved the chat, so I'm going to end the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, team, for hopping on Sunday. See ya.
See you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'll see you Monday.
Bye.